Okay, so we're going to create a very simple looking game over screen to just display on the screen when our player dies. For the moment, we're not actually going to have it be kind of interactable or anything like that. We're going to cover that in some future episodes, but for now, it's just a way to display to the player that something bad has happened and they're kind of in trouble. So we're going to go to our canvas and we're going to create a new empty game object on that, and we're going to call this our game over screen, like that. And what we're going to do then is right click on that, and we're going to go to UI and add an image. And instead of adding any particular image, by default, so we get this kind of white blank image, what we're going to do is change the color of that to be black, and using the alpha value, which controls how much you can see through it. So if we drag that all the way down to the bottom, we'll be able to see all the way through it. What we're going to do is set it to be around about 200 or so. So it's quite dark, but you can still see through what's going on. So we're going to close out of that there. And what we're going to do is make this the full size of the screen, like this. So we're going around the edges of our UI view here. So now if we go back to game, we just want to see this in action now. So it covers our screen completely here, but if we were to make it maximized, it only stays the size that we made it. So what we want to do is to grow bigger. So it doesn't really matter if we were to lock it to any particular corners or anything, it's still only going to stay the same size. So what we want to do, if we click on our little position controller here, so we've been using kind of these little buttons here to control where it goes or where it's staying anchored to within the screen. But we've also got these little options down here which control which way it should stretch within the screen. So there's a few different options, and again, you can kind of play around with it yourselves and see what you get going. But what we're going to use is the one in the bottom right here, which will make it stretch out to match all four corners, like that. So we wanted to make it stretch out like that, but we don't want to just apply this to the image itself, because or else the object holding it is going to remain the same size, and our image is only going to stretch to match that. But we need to also make our game over screen here. We need to do the exact same thing on that and make that stretch out to full size. And then we'll see if we maximize the view here, it stays completely black the whole way, just the way we want it to. So we'll go back now and go to our game over screen, and we're going to add a little bit of text. So we're going to go to a UI text here, and we're going to make this just a bright white color like this. And we'll actually switch back to scene view so we can see what we're doing. I'm going to make this box itself quite a bit bigger, like that. I'm going to center the alignment like this, so that we're centered right in the middle of the screen. I'm going to change the text to say game over. I'm going to make the font size way bigger, like this, so it takes up a whole bunch of space in the screen. When we've got this small tiny view here like this, it takes up quite a lot, but when we make it bigger, it just fills up the center of the screen just kind of the way we want it to. So that's perfect. So we're going to save that just to make sure we don't have any crashes or anything like that going on. And now we've got our game over screen. So now we need to make sure that this becomes active whenever our player loses all our lives. So by default, we obviously don't want this showing up in the game. So we're going to go up to the little tick box beside the name game over screen here and just deactivate it within the world. So now when we're playing our game, it won't be able to be seen. But we want it to appear when our player runs out of lives. And as we know, our lives are controlled by our level manager. So let's open that up again. Back over here. There we go. So we're going to need to obviously make a reference to that, the game over screen. So we're going to say public game object game over screen. And this doesn't need to be any kind of special UI element or anything like that. We're just referring to the game object itself, because that's all we're going to turn on and off. So basically what we want to say is scroll down here to where our respawn is being started, so our public void respawn. And so if our current lives are greater than 0, we're starting that coroutine, but if it's less than or equal to 0, then our player is getting deactivated, and when our player is deactivated, we should also make our game over screen appear in the game. So here we'll say our game over screen dot set active, and in brackets true. So we'll save this, go back in here, and we need to go to our level manager once that's finished compiling, and we need to hook up the game over screen into the right slot. So we just created that slot there, so we'll drag that in, And of course, even though it's deactivated, we're still perfectly able to drag it into position. So we're going to play this now. And what we should see, if we just repeatedly kill ourselves over the edge, dropping down, and we get a game over when our lives go down to 0. So perfect. Although there's nothing we can do on the screen at the moment, we will, as I said, we will get to that. But for now, at least we've got a way of telling our players, you messed up, basically.